Venerables, distinguished guests, brothers and sisters in the Dhamma, welcome to the Pāli-Sanskrit International Buddhist Community Forum. This is part of our series of forums. We started sometime in March 2021, and this will be our third forum. So the theme for this forum is entitled Tailor My Life for My Goodness. And we are very happy to have a very distinguished panels of Dhamma teachers and scholars. As usual, we will have in our format a panel of 4 speakers chaired by a moderator, 2 from the Pali tradition and 2 from the Sanskrit tradition. Our chair for today is Venerable Shi Chun Yin. She graduated from the Singapore Nanyang Technological University in 2001, where she had graduated with a bachelor degree in media studies. She renounced the world, became a nun in 2008, and in 2009, she decided to enroll in a very long course, 16 years geisha course. Happy for her, she graduated with the equivalent of a bachelor degree in 2016 and then a master in 2023, and she will soon finish her PhD in 2025. She has received numerous teaching from His Holiness and as well as studied from various teachers from the Nyingma, Kajut, and Sakya tradition. So let us welcome Venerable Shi Chun Yin, who will moderate today's session. Venerable, please.
Okay. Thank you, Brother William, for the introduction. I'm very happy to be here today to be part of the forum. So as you know, Buddhism has a history of more than 2,500 years. So some people may think that Buddhism is an ancient religion, but the great wisdom of the Buddha is still very relevant and beneficial in this modern world. So how is that so? Let me share the following story with you. There was a Deva long time ago who was tasked to guard a magical key. It was said that whoever that possesses this key will be able to unlock the secret to everlasting happiness. So the Deva cracked his brain to think of what is a perfect hiding place for this precious key. So first, he decided to hide it in the dense forest, thinking that no human being would ever find it. However, as mankind progressed, men started to cut down trees and destroy forests. So fearing that the key may be found, the Deva decided to change the hiding place of the key. He hid the key at the peak of the highest snow-capped mountains, thinking that the key will be safe this time. However, as human beings developed better equipment and technologies, they started to scale and conquer the once unreachable mountains. The Deva quickly removed the key from the mountain peak and hid it in the deepest ocean. But human beings again developed very high-tech submarines and radar systems, and they got very close to the location of the magical key. So the poor Deva had to change the hiding place again, and he asked himself, now, where can I hide the key this time so that no one can ever find it? After much thinking, he found the perfect place to hide the key. And can you guess where has he hidden the key this time? Well, he decided to hide it in the mind of human beings. Because human beings are always looking outside for happiness, but they never look inside their mind. So this is the perfect place to hide this magical key. So this little story tells us that no matter how developed the external world can be, no matter how affluent our society may be, as long as we have yet to discover and develop our inner qualities, we may not find real happiness. Well, centuries may have passed since the Buddha was born, But the human beings during the Buddha's time and the human beings in today's world are not very different. No matter who we are, where we are from, what language do we speak, what religion do we believe in, we all have the common wish to have happiness. We all have the common wish to avoid suffering. Now, Buddhism teaches us to look inside ourselves for happiness, to look inside for solutions when we have problems, to look inside for strength when we meet with challenges, to develop inner skills to cope with changes. And today, we are very privileged to have four very distinguished speakers from the Pali and Sanskrit tradition who will share with us the knowledge and wisdom of the Buddha so that we can discover the magical key of happiness to tailor our lives for goodness. So in today's forum, each speaker will deliver a speech for 15 minutes. After all speakers have finished their speeches, we will have a 30-minute Q&A session. Therefore, while listening to the speakers, if you have any questions, you can type your questions in the chat box in Zoom. And participants who are in the WhatsApp chat group can also type your questions in the WhatsApp chat group. So you do not have to wait until the Q&A session to type your questions. If you would like to direct your question to a specific speaker, please indicate that in your question. If not, I will direct the question to the most relevant speaker. And please keep your question short and direct, and I'll try to field as many questions as possible. So now, with respect, I would like to start the forum by introducing the first speaker, Venerable Gnanarathana Thero from the Pali tradition. Venerable Gnanarathana is a Sri Lankan monk. He came to Singapore in year 2012 and graduated from the Buddhist College of Singapore with a master's in arts. Not only is Venerable fluent in Sinhalese and English, he is also proficient in both the Pali and Sanskrit language. So Venerable currently resides in the Sri Lanka Ramaya Temple in Singapore, where he teaches Buddhism and meditation to the public. So let's welcome Venerable Gnanarathana to begin his speech.
Thank you very much, Venerable Chun Yin. I hope you can see my slide.
Yes, we can, Venerable. Yeah.
Namo Buddhaya, Amitofo. Good morning to all the meritorious Dhamma practitioners, especially the venerables here, and all the Dhamma practitioners. Thank you very much for giving opportunity to share the Dhamma with you all. This is sharing the Dhamma to the benefit of many, ourselves, oneself, and others. As human beings, not only human beings, all other beings also, they want to be happy. In order to be happy, we need to have our goodness, to do good. So this time, within this 2 hours time, we all are going to do the meritorious things, good deeds, noble practice. Then we all can accumulate merits, the inner power by doing so. So today, I have a stanza for you from Dhammapada. Dhammapada verse number 183. One day, the Buddha Sakyamuni, Sityamuni, the Buddha explained to the monks the history of previous 7 Buddhas. So the Sakyamuni Buddha explained their parents and other family members, their countries, and all the things. After that, Venerable Ananda, assistant monk of the Sakyamuni Buddha, Venerable Ananda wanted to know what are the fundamental instructions of the previous Buddhas. So the Buddha Sakyamuni Buddha recited the stanzas, 3 stanzas, to talk about the fundamental instruction of all the Buddhas. For all the Buddhas. So the first one is for our happiness, for our goodness. The Buddha, all the Buddhas advise us not to do any evil. Sabba pāpassa akarana. Here we see a word, Pali word, pāpa. So pāpa, we have this word has few meanings. Evil actions, immoral, criminal, bad, unethical, and wrong. Or the bad side, negative side, evil side. So we have to stop our evil side, our bad, our wrong things, in order to have our goodness. This is the skill in means. So when we use our skillful means towards the liberation, for our final liberation, we have to do this first to stop our evil side, our unethical, wrong actions. Why people are doing in the world? So there's one sutta in Anguttara Nikaya, Sumangala Sutta. According to this sutta, the Buddha explains that there are 3 types of intoxications. Here only a few reasons to do evil things. So beings are intoxicated already with these 3. That's why they do some wrong or bad or evil things. Intoxication with youth and health and life. So most of the time we can see the beings when they are in youth, young time, they have power. Most of the time they do some wrong. They want to go to the wrong side, do some wrong things. And when the beings are healthy, also they don't care about the good things, good practices, noble practices. And when they have for their own life, right, thinking, I have some very long time to live in this world, therefore they try to do some wrong actions. So engage in bodily misconduct, verbal misconduct, and mental misconduct, according to the sutta, Sumangala Sutta. Then what happened to them? So if someone do evil things, then they miss their happiness in this life. It's the dangerous thing. So they miss their happiness, their goodness. Having engaged on breakup of the body after death, after this, what happened to them? Reappears in the plan of deprivation, the bad destination, the lower realms in hell. So the Buddha asks to see the danger of the evil side, wrong, immoral side. So this advice comes from all the Buddhas, according to the teaching of the Sakyamuni Buddha very clearly explained that all the Buddhas, all the previous Buddhas, not only future Buddhas also will, previous Buddhas advise in this way, future Buddhas also will teach the same teaching to stop evil. Second one is to cultivate the good. To cultivate the good, kusalassa upasampada. For our goodness, we have to do good, cultivate good. Kusala. Good is skilled and wholesome actions, ethical and moral behavior, acceptable, noble behavior. We need to have improve, cultivate our good qualities, good behavior. This is the path towards the goodness. This is the path towards the long-lasting goodness. Our long-lasting happiness, it is not for just mere short happiness. This is the miracle of the good things when we do good. So before doing the action, we can be happy while doing and after doing. This is the miracle of the good practices. So these two, the first and second, first one to stop evil, and second one to do good. These two, with actions and with words, we have to do it. When we use the words, when we do something, we have to stop. When we do some actions, we have to stop evil, bad side. When we use words, we have to stop evil, bad side. When we do something, we have to do good. And when we say something, we have to say nice, beautiful, correct, wholesome words. This is the practice. This practice just to have our outer good appearance. So with related to the body and our words, body and our words. The third one in the stanza, the third one is to purify one's mind. This is all the Buddha's advice, to purify one's mind. Sachitta Paryodapana. We can purify our mind with the support of above practice and meditation. So mind, when we talk about mind, there's one sutta in Anguttara Nikaya, Pabhassara Sutta. In that sutta, Buddha very clearly explained that luminous monks is the mind. Inside we can see our luminosity of our mind, and it is defiled by incoming defilements. What happened to us? We miss our luminosity, this luminous mind, because of this incoming defilements. Defilements come from outside, outer world. So then we have to be more careful to protect our mind. We need to have Dhamma knowledge. We need to have good practice. We need to have correct actions, wholesome actions. We need to have correct words in order to protect our mind from this incoming outer defilements. There's another sutta I would like to introduce you, Vattupama Sutta in Majjhima Nikaya, Sutta number 7. And according to this sutta, the Buddha explained there are, you can read in my slides, there are the defilements of our mind, starting from covetousness. So this come to the mind and make mind polluted one, ill will, anger, hostility, and so on, all these things. So these outer things come, and again, our mind become polluted. That's why the Buddha advised to make our mind very pure one, clean one, in order to have our goodness, ourselves, oneself, and others. So when we practice this, we can practice in two ways, secular and spiritual levels. This in these two levels. So in our daily life, day-to-day life, here and there, for example, so in this forum, we all are here to do something nice and beautiful. So in this forum, we have to stop all the evil actions and evil words. That is the practice in the secular level. Actually, it's very connected to the spiritual level also. So we have to do good in this forum gathering, and also we have to have always nice thoughts, beautiful thoughts. No, intention must be very good. No hidden something. That's how we can practice this in secular level, and we can move to the spiritual level. That's the way. So in your daily life, in your workplace, in school, here and there, when you go out, here and there, all the places with others, within a circle, we can stop our evil actions, words. We can do something good using our actions, with our actions and our words. So this is the understanding of secular and spiritual level. Then after that, we can move to the spiritual level, to the noble level. First, we must know how to manage in our day-to-day life, our daily life, these things to stop bad, to do good, and to purify the mind, to have nice, beautiful thoughts in our mind. Sabba papasakarana, not to do any evil. Kusalassa upasampada, to cultivate the good. Sachitta pariyodapanang, to purify the mind. Etang buddhanusasana. This is the teaching of all the Buddhas. Thank you very much for your time. Now I would like to bless you all to have good health and happiness, to find your success with all the things. Finally, to find your ultimate happiness after having this secular happiness in this world. Bhavatu sabba mangalang rakkantu sabba devata sabba buddhanubhavena sabba dhammanubhavena sabba sanghanubhavena sada sati bhavantu te. May every blessing come to be, and all good spirits guard you well, through the power of all Buddhas, through the power of all Dhammas, through the power of all Sanghas. May you always be at ease. Thank you very much. Amitofo. May the Buddha bless you all. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Bante. Amitofo. So thank you, Bante, for your teaching and your blessings to all of us. And next, I would like to invite the second speaker, Geshe Lobsang Tenzin Negi, to do some Dharma sharing with us. And before that, I would like to briefly introduce Geshe-la. Geshe Lobsang is the co-founder and executive director of the Center for Contemplative Science and Compassion-Based Ethics at the Emory University in the United States. He received his doctorate from the Emory University and the prestigious Geshe Hlaramba degree, which is the highest academic degree granted in the Tibetan Gelug tradition, from Drepung Losar Ling Monastery in South India. Leveraging on his training from both the traditional and modern education system, Geshe-la developed the Cognitively Based Compassion Training, CBCT, a secular yet systematic compassion training based on the traditional Tibetan Buddhist mind training. Under his direction, he and his team also created a comprehensive 6-year modern science curriculum for integration into the education system for Tibetan monks and nuns. Motivated by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Geshe-la and his team created a global program called The Learning, which is a K-12 educational framework that provides educators with tools and resources to foster social, emotional, and ethical intelligence in students. Geshe-la is also a teaching professor in the Emory University's Department of Religion. He is also the founder and spiritual director of Lobsang Monastery, Atlanta, Georgia, USA. So now, may I invite Geshe-la to share his speech with us.
Thank you, Venerable Chun Yin, and good morning to everyone joining from Asia, and good evening to those who are joining us from the western part of the world. I am joining from Atlanta, Georgia. Let me begin by first expressing my deep gratitude to the Tibetan Buddhist Center based in Singapore for coordinating this particular event, but also the previous series of talks, panels. The topic for this evening, living the awakened life, tailor my life for goodness, is really a timely topic, and I hope to share a little bit from the Sanskrit tradition. There are many, but I would like to focus on compassion. That why compassion is important. And in today's world, not only during the time of the Buddha, but in today's world. Of course, Buddha in the Dharma-sangiti Sutra, it's the discourse by Buddha known as the Dharma-sangiti Sutra, or translated in English as Compendium of Dharma discourse. In that, Buddha says that for the bodhisattvas, those who are altruistically seeking enlightenment to benefit all beings, the bodhisattvas, what is one teaching? If you have it in the palm of your hand, all the teachings of the Buddha would be in your hand. He asked this question and then answers also, and he says that it is great compassion. Great compassion, Mahakaruna. The great compassion is the very essence of the Buddha's teaching. Of course, we would need to see this in the context of wisdom, the wisdom and compassion, the two wings that a bodhisattva, cultivates in order to cross the ocean of suffering, but also to lead others, across the ocean of suffering. But here I want to focus on compassion. Why compassion is that one quality that if you have it, all the Buddha's teachings are present in your life, in your hand. His Holiness the Dalai Lama also summarizing the entire teachings of the Buddha, he just says that it comes down to two sentences, try to help others as much as you can. If you cannot, at least avoid harming others. This is what the two kind of basic approach a Buddhist practitioner takes, and that is to, as the Venerable Gnanarathana just mentioned, that the beautifully kind of summarizing the essence of Buddha's teaching: avoid all evils and evil deeds, accumulate or the engage in all the virtuous actions, purify or the subdue, train your own mind. These are the teachings of the Buddha, and you can see that when it comes to training, subduing, purifying our mind of such negative, elements, one way to do that is to avoid harming others. We can avoid, we can hurt others through our speech, harsh speech, lying, and so forth and so on. We can hurt through our bodily actions, but these behaviors, these actions are rooted in our attitudes, in our emotions. So purifying the mind is important. So that when it comes to practicing the Buddha's teaching, at least to avoid harming others. That's the basic ethics of restraint, restraining from causing harm to others. That takes into account the other beings just like us want to be happy, want to be free from suffering, want to be safe, want not to be hurt, and so forth. And then the second part, because that, as His Holiness points out, that besides abstaining from hurting others, we have much greater, potential to assist others, help others, that through generosity, through helping, and that's where the compassion for others come into play. So of course, compassion is very important for someone who is seeking enlightenment, the Buddhahood, if you will. That's it's as the Chandrakirti, one of the great masters from the Nalanda tradition, Sanskrit tradition, when he says that compassion is like the seed for our enlightenment. That is, you know, for the harvest of our enlightenment. Compassion is like a seed. You need a good seed. Compassion, which is important in the beginning. Compassion is like the moisture, the water. That when the seed sprouts, you need to nourish it with the water, the moisture, and to sustain that. And compassion is like the ripening. If the harvest at the end, if it gives the grain, but if it is not properly ripened, that there would not be much use for others. So it's the compassion when someone is able to attain knowledge, understanding, awareness, that compassion leads such knowledge, skills, abilities in the service of others, that instead of just being kind of the satisfied with that, but rather it's the compassion that compels one to help others. So in the Buddhist context, of course, the great compassion is so important, but let's see that how compassion is needed in today's world. And this is where I think that His Holiness the Dalai Lama's writings, the teachings over the last 30, 40 years have been so instrumental in bringing the science and the spirituality, the Dharma, together, because he himself has engaged with the scientists to precisely to explore ways to reduce our suffering in today's world, to enhance the quality of our life. And he has come to the conclusion that love and compassion are necessities, not luxuries. As he says that without them, humanity cannot survive. And the science is certainly pointing to this fact also. If I may, just present you a few points here. Compassion is important for us. If we don't receive compassion, we can't really survive, as a social animals, but just simply as a living being. If we don't receive compassion, care from others, how would we survive? There is a growing problem in today's world that our young generation, or the older generation has also gone through, but there's a growing kind of trauma the children are facing today. Whether it's because of the complexity of the life today, the societies are so complex, with and the stress is all-time high. Perhaps that the parents themselves are not in the position to give full attention to the children, or other times, the children who become the subject of abuse by other people. So the early kind of trauma for the children, for example, if the children grow in adverse kind of condition, like that, where they face abuse, whether it's physical, verbal abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, or the neglect from the parents, or to grow in a family where the parents are struggling with their mental health and cannot pay attention to the children, or there is domestic violence and so forth. In brief, if children don't receive care and compassion, we know from the huge body of research today that those children grow, to grow up being very kind of vulnerable for many of our illnesses like the depression, anxiety, and other, even like the diabetes, and the longevity itself is undermined, for in such populations. So this adverse, childhood experiences, as it is called, the ACE studies, it's revealing that how for the children to grow in a healthy way, to that early kind of caring and compassion, receiving that is so important. So that's why that compassion, we do need to bring compassion in our society, so that we can ensure a greater and healthy kind of the society. Compassion is also important, not only for us to receive, but to share with others, because we know that, at the heart, compassion has to do with this meaningful connection. As at the heart of this is a Tibetan word, what's called the sewa, which means warm-heartedness, tenderness. Where you connect with another person with certain degree of endearing or tenderness, and that tenderness is so crucial. If we think, in today's world, uh, this kind of growing mental health crisis with like loneliness, for example. In the Western world, I don't know to what extent in the East this is an issue. I would think it is a growing issue as well. But in the West, certainly, loneliness is one of the kind of epidemics. Like that the U.S. Surgeon General Vivek Murthy, he talks about, after surveying the landscape, health landscape, public health landscape in America, as a Surgeon General, he was not, it was not like the heart disease or cancer. It was the loneliness that was the most concerning. And the society is suffering from this sense of isolation and loneliness. And it becomes a huge, source of mental health problems, and the burnout, loneliness, and as well as depression and so forth and so on. So that's why compassion, that fundamentally has to do with building a meaningful connection, is so important for us. At Emory University, as Venerable Chun Yin mentioned, that at Emory University we developed a compassion program called the CBCT, Cognitively Based Compassion Training. And the very impetus for that was precisely, the struggling community with the mental health problems, particularly the students. And back in 2004, at the request of a student, this program was developed. We offered this as a study, that with the freshman college students, putting them in two groups, basically to see, by introducing compassion training, compassion meditation, whether we will see changes in that group compared to the control group, those who are not practicing. What we found was that, in the compassion meditation group, those students who did put some time, it's about 15 minutes per day, it's 90 minutes per week, what we call the high practice, compared to those who came to the classes but did not really put time to meditate outside of the class, as well as the control group, the group of students from the same class, but they were not introduced to compassion. We found that in the high practice group, students who did practice, their inflammation. It is measured by a chemical called IL-6, inflammation, which is a huge major source of depression and other problems today. It was significantly lower after 6 weeks of training. Stress hormone like the cortisol also, when they are subjected to stress, it goes up. But then in the compassion training, the high practice group, when that stress test was finished, the cortisol levels came down much faster, indicating that they are more resilient. So there's much to talk about compassion and its benefits in today's world, and that's why the science of compassion is growing. There are so many studies done. I can go on, but since this talk has to be limited for 15 minutes, I will stop here. Thank you for the opportunity to share this with you.
Okay. Thank you, Geshe-la, for the very insightful teaching. And next, I would like to invite Bhikkhuni Sumangala from the Pali tradition to share some teachings with us. And I would like to introduce Bhikkhuni Sumangala. So Venerable was born in Malaysia. In year 2004, she was inspired by the late Chief Venerable K. Sri Dhammananda to establish a training center and program for bhikkhunis. Therefore, in year 2005, she left her secular life at the age of 39 and began her spiritual training as an Anagarika under Venerable Mahinda Mahata and Venerable Nadimali Sumedha. After Venerable received her higher ordination in 2015, she founded Malaysia's very first Theravada Bhikkhuni nunnery and training center, the Arya Vihara. Venerable has also organized the Rare Theravada Seminary Novitiate Program in Malaysia for 6 times between year 2014 to 2024. As a coordinator for the United Theravada Bhikkhuni Sangha International, she facilitated significant events, including the International Bhikkhuni Ordinations in Bodh Gaya, India, 2022. Recognized for her selfless contributions and dedication to the development of Theravada Bhikkhuni Sangha and centers in Malaysia, Venerable was awarded the Outstanding Women of Buddhism Award 2024 in Taiwan. So may I invite Venerable Sumangala to give a speech.
Thank you, Venerable Chun Yin. Namo Buddhaya and Sukhyo to all Venerable speakers and the organizers of Pāli-Sanskrit International Buddhist Community and to all dear participants. Today, we are very thankful that we have this platform to come together to learn and to practice and to further our understanding of the skillful means in the Buddha's teaching. So the topic given is skillful means. Tailor my life for my goodness. Let me share the slides here. Can you see the slide? All right.
Yes, we can
Yeah.
see. Thank you.
All right. So first, I would like to highlight. So it's important that we tailor our life for something that makes us happy. So in the Pali tradition or Pali scriptures, we understand from the Buddha's teaching, Gautama Buddha, and if we are looking at the hour of compassion the Buddha have taught, that day I just have a quick calculation on how many suttas that he has actually teach in the Pali scriptures. So averagely we will say there are 12,892 suttas, whether it's a long sutta or medium sutta or short sutta or just verses of Dhamma. So all these are skillful ways of how the Buddha impart the teaching for our learning and also practice. and for the realization of the ultimate goal of enlightenment. Yeah? So there are two words that we are used to. First word is skillful means, yeah, and we have to also understand to differentiate it with a skill in means. Skillful means in the Buddha's teaching, I think would relate to expedient means based on moral virtue, compassion, and wisdom. And also, number two, emphasizes specific teaching and techniques that fit the person or situation to gain desired wholesome outcome, and gradually leads to Nibbana. And third, brings the practitioners to discover, to arrive at, and to the final realization of noble truth. Earlier, I said we have to differentiate it with skill in means. Yeah, skill in means sometimes can be quite dangerous if we do not do it in a way of wholesome way of action or intention. So sometimes people may be in skill, yeah, in doing things that they are doing or speaking, but because due to selfish motive, they may justify or give excuses for the desired outcome of idea, or to gain followers, or to gain material gain. Yeah. So this is not skillful means because the intention is not wholesome, right? So they may be good at certain skill, but it is not a skillful means. So I have just now mentioned the 3 points that we can see in the Buddha's teaching of what it means by skillful means. I will quote here one example of how the Buddha express or teach his profound teaching and his path, and he equate to in this sutta simile of elephant footprint. So the Buddha said, Buddha quoted and using skillful means, yeah, so that people can relate, and he used the elephant footprint because in India culture, this is one that is regarded as a noble and majestic animal that can give people that connection of understanding of teaching. So the first the Buddha say, just like an elephant footprint, which is the largest among all footprints, the Buddha's teaching are vast and profound, encompasses wide range of teachings and practices that lead to cessation of suffering and realization of Nibbana or enlightenment. Number two, just as all other footprints can fit within the footprint of an elephant, all wholesome qualities and practices taught by others can be encompassed within the teachings of the Buddha. Number three, the Buddha say, just as the left elephant used the footprint as a guide in the forest, practitioners should use the Buddha's teachings as a guide on the path to enlightenment by following the Noble Eightfold Path and practicing mindfulness, ethical conduct, compassion, and wisdom. Then one can progress towards the goal of liberation. Number four, just an elephant tamer who knows the footprint of an elephant can track and capture the elephant. A practitioner who understands the Buddha's teachings and practices diligently can realize the ultimate goal of enlightenment and liberation from the cycle of birth and death. So these are the profound teaching of the Buddha as how the teaching embraces all for the good cause of a life which can bring happiness and liberation. So to begin with a journey, we are now like to ask, as this topic is about, tailor my life for my goodness. We are talking about here and now, about ourselves or about people who are listening to this talk, and also probably those who may come to listen. So firstly, if we were to ask people, the purpose of early life or the purpose of life, most people will answer more or less like what is stated here. This is not what we just guessed. Even during the Buddha's time, as in one of the sutta, D.Gnanarathana Sutta, the person says to the Buddha, he said, Master Gautama, we laymen, we like sensual pleasure. We like, family crowded, or the house crowded with children. And we like kasi sandalwood, means like brand, And we also like to beautify ourselves, smells good, with fragrance and makeups and everything. And of course, we love money and jewelry. This is not only 2,000 over years, even today, we also like this thing. But he asked the Buddha, as a Master Gautama, then as laymen, we still enjoy all this, but how can we make our life continue to be happy in this life and also in the next life? Yeah. So, of course, this D.Gnanarathana asked the Buddha about this. But in our time, I'd like to relate to you all. Is in Chinese, but I also say in English after that. When I was asking my brother, I said, brother, do learn Buddhism. Yeah, as a layperson, you know what he answered? He said, Buddhism. He said, we are busy doing our work, our business. Buddhism cannot. But means, 佛教不能, money 教就可以. So it means to study Buddhism cannot, but moneyism can, right? Because lay people, right? Then my sister asked her friend too. They said, hey, come learn Buddhism, means 来学佛, 学佛教. Then the friend answered, 佛教不可以啦, 睡觉就可以. So it means to learn Buddhism is hard, difficult, cannot. But to sleep, laziness is all right. Yeah. Third, then when I relate this to a devotee, I say, when we ask people to learn about Buddhism, about the Dhamma, then they say mani jiao, or they say sui jiao. Then this devotee said, oh, Venerable, there's another jiao. Then I was curious to know. I say, this jiao is called gua gua jiao. So, people like to complain a lot. So you ask them to learn Buddhism, cannot. But they love to complain a lot. So we can see that people are seeking happiness, but the attitude towards goodness or happiness is something that they don't see. And they think, what is important is money. And then what is important is, freedom, idleness, yeah? And also complain a lot when they are not happy. So how then can we tailor our life to our goodness? Yeah. So in our 21st century, the term we are using is always very advanced. Yeah. Then I'll also use this simple example so that we can remember. Just like when we want to drive and go somewhere, nowadays we always use the GPS, right? So it's easy. We don't have to think, and then you're direct to the place that you want to go. So today also we'll introduce you some Dhamma GPS. Yeah. So what is it? So GPS, our Dhamma GPS stands for Goodness Positioning System. Yeah. So you can choose. Yeah. In the Buddha's teaching, number one, how we can make our ordinary persons happy. Yeah. So even you are a lay person, how can you develop goodness and happiness? Number two, what is the goodness, good person's happiness? Yeah, if you are not as good yet, but then how can we develop this kind of happiness? Number three, the third level, how the noble person's happiness is being developed. So you have a choice to choose, ordinary or good or noble. Next, what is the ordinary person's happiness? According to the Buddha, yeah, normally they are still partaking sensuality, but they tailor some goodness in their life. Then how to accomplish that? First, the Buddha said, be diligent. So diligence is a quality of goodness. And skillfulness means in your work. Number 2, watchfulness. Number 3 means watchfulness over your money that you earn. Number 3, spiritual friends is very important if you want to have a happy life or, good in your life. Number 4, balanced living. So diligence and skillful in work. The Buddha say that we should earn righteous wealth, righteously gain. So then you can enjoy 4 kinds of joy and bliss. Number 1, joy of having. So when you reflect back, the proper means to earn from your zeal, effort, work, strength, and sweat. So this is important. When you reflect back, you find a lot of joy because why? You're using your own sweat, your own hand, your willpower to accomplish or to finish the work, and it has been done well. So because of that, you feel happy. Number 2, joy of using your wealth well and make marriage. The money that you earn, you can make marriage. Like nowadays, we all do marriage, by sharing whether with neighbors, with family members, and with those who are in need, or we also offer to the Sangha, so to make more marriage. So this also can bring a lot of joy and bliss. Third, when you reflect, I owe no debt, joy of debtlessness. So when you are free from that, you feel very happy because there's no stress, no concern, no anxiety, because you are content and you're satisfied. You don't owe anybody anything. Number 4, then when you think, I'm endowed with blameless bodily karma, blameless verbal karma, blameless mental karma. So you have joy of blamelessness. And when you have joy of blamelessness, actually you find very peaceful, and calm. Number 2, watchfulness and protection over the money that you earn. And this, we have to also learn that even simple thing like how to safeguard our money or safeguard our well-being. The Buddha also mentioned, if you look at number 4, so when you purchase a property, remember to check out that it's not a flooded area or near disaster area, so that suitability on your home is also important to make sure that you can perform well-being continuously and not bothered by that your wealth will be taken away because of kings will take it off, or thieves will steal it, or fire will burn it, or water will wash it away, or unloving heirs would take it away from you. So this also you have to be careful, especially on along nowadays, And number 5, so you have to also know how to safeguard your money in terms of that. Number 2, of course, hardly now.
Sorry, Venerable. Venerable. Could you please wrap up your speech soon?
Oh, all right. So these are some of the things that we can see. And of course, the most important thing is on spiritual friends, that you are endowed with faith, moral virtue, charity, and wisdom. So the rest, of course, how friends can be influenced in your goodness or badness, you have to also look at it and take care, and balance living. And to increase your other happiness in terms of your goodness, there are other things that we can wrap up with faith in Buddha, moral virtue, charity, and wisdom, and to follow the Noble Eightfold Path. And also then to understand this achievable happiness, higher happiness that we can always train for, and to finally attain the happiness that we have. So in short, we can understand that we have a choice to choose happiness here and now, hereafter, or ultimate happiness. So it is up to individual to cater for their own goodness and their happiness. So thank you all very much for listening.
Okay, thank you, Venerable Sumangala. Okay, now I would like to introduce and invite our fourth speaker, Venerable Hyeju from the Sanskrit tradition. Venerable Hyeju is a Buddhist nun from South Korea. She is currently an associate professor in the Department of Education for Child and Adolescent of the Undergraduate School and the Department of Psychology and Counseling for Child and Adolescent of the Graduate School of Dongguk University, a renowned college for Buddhist studies and culture. Venerable had been a Buddhist nun in the Jogye order of Korean Buddhism since year 2000, and she received the Bhikkhuni vows in year 2005. She is currently a C Learning Level 2 facilitator and a trained teacher in the Heart Smile training program. She received her PhD in curriculum and instruction and educational psychology from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Her PhD research focuses on how to help students develop happiness, how to use contemplative practices to positively influence students, teachers, parents, and school cultures. She is particularly interested in developing and implementing contemplative curricula by collaborating with teachers at various educational levels. She hopes to deliver authentic happiness tools coupled with meditation and contemplative practices to help students, teachers, and parents worldwide to achieve happiness and meaning in their lives. So let us invite Venerable Hyeju to deliver her speech.
Thank you so much for the introduction. And hello, everyone. I'm Hyeju from South Korea. And I'm in Korea now. And now I think I need to say good afternoon because now it's just turned into the afternoon. So it's now 12 o'clock. So yeah, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good night for everybody. So today I'm going to talk about my personal life and personal insights regarding to suffering and compassion. And when I was asked about this lecture, I just asked about whether I can talk about my individual life, and they said, okay. So I just wanted to talk about that. And so today I'm going to talk about suffering. And suffering is the noble truth, the first noble truth in Buddhism. And that means that there is a suffering in our lives. So I want to talk about the suffering in my life and how to deal with the sufferings and how to turn it into the meaning of my life. So the suffering is the noble truth, and we cannot avoid any sufferings in our lives. And suffering is the feeling that we receive or that we make when we have the stress. So when we get stressed out, we feel, oh, this is so painful. This is suffering like that. So the stress also we cannot avoid in our lives. And stress is the state that our mentor has a lot of pressure from the outside. And we cannot deal with it very appropriate with the appropriate way. So we feel worry, anxiety, we feel fear, or desperate, desperate feeling, those kind of things. So I would like to talk about the moments that I felt suffering in my life and how I overcome it. And I at that time I recognized that our mind creates everything. And also because I've been studied and practiced Buddhism for many years, this has always been in my mind. The mind creates everything. So I thought about that. So I just changed my perspectives about suffering. And I think that's why we have the noble truth of the first suffering in our Buddhist teaching, because we need to look at the suffering from the very clear viewpoint. So the stress and suffering makes us compassionate, I think. So I'm becoming more compassionate with my suffering, and suffering creates caring and resilience, and it boosts practice, the meditation practice, joy and acceptance. So I'm going to share my experience about that. So we cannot live without those kind of stress, fear, anxiety, but we can change our attitude toward these feelings and make positive relationships with them through mindfulness and compassion. And as you know, the bodhisattvas in the Mahayana Buddhism has the role and are responsible to attain enlightenment and benefit all beings. So that has the meaning of we need to attain wisdom and compassion, and also we need to practice wisdom and compassion at the same time. So that's why I think my experience of dealing with suffering is cultivating some kind of mindfulness, awakening, or attaining those kind of enlightenment. Is the process of doing that, and also benefit myself and all other beings. So the first example that I would like to share about my life is the high school experience. So I became a nun right after graduating from the high school. But when I was in high school, I thought about that myself was too anxious, or sometimes I feel kind of jealousy about other friends in a very competitive classroom, in a very competitive school climate. So it's not only in my classroom, but also in the society of Korea. South Korea has the very competitive community. So they are always comparing themselves to others, and they feel like they are suffering from those kind of things. And also, many Korean people have considered how others would think about themselves. So that's why they have a very low self-esteem. So I think I was in that community, and at the time I thought about that. I really want to be free from those kind of anxiousness, anxiety, or jealousy, or those kind of comparison. I want to be myself. I want to be free from those kind of sufferings. So that's why right after graduating from the high school, I became a nun. And I shaved my hair, like, of course, not me. My master shaved my hair like that. So at that time, I just, if I didn't have those kind of suffering, I wouldn't think about becoming a nun or practicing mindfulness or meditation like that. But even or becoming Buddhist practitioners like that. But even before, from the time when I was in preschool, I have meditated since that time, because I learned how to meditate. And we always learned about Buddhist tradition, Buddhist teaching in my community. So I learned that, and I thought that maybe the becoming a Buddhist nun would be the solution of getting freedom in my life. Of course not. Just becoming the nun is not the solution. We need to practice. So later that I have been facing a lot of sufferings in my life, of course. And especially when I was in Madison, Wisconsin for my PhD. That was my first time to study abroad. So I just entered the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and I went to there. The first semester was really discouraging. So at that time I was 29 and 30 like that. And even though I had taken an English test to get there, I found it very, very hard to follow the lecture and discussion in class. And the reading lists are long every week, and I felt like I wasn't good enough to be here at the time. So at the time I started questioning about myself, why I wasn't even there. I should go back to my country like that. But after struggling through like 2 semesters, I spent the summer break in my country in Korea. And at the time, I just reset my mindset. I can do it. I would go through it like that. And when I returned to the school, and I ran into my friend in the library, and I told her that my heart was beating. And I was meaning that, oh, I feel like I feel a little bit anxious starting this semester like that. But my friend just responded like that. My heart beats too. I'm really excited about my new semester. So I was like, wow, so different. I was really surprised by this response and decided to reframe my racing heart as excitement. It was very insightful moment. I also made up my mind to accept myself as I am. And another thing happened at the time, when I told an American friend that I wanted to speak English like a native speaker. And she said, I've lived here for over 30 years to speak like this. And so if you could do it in just 1 or 2 years, how unfair would that be for me? I was like, oh yeah, thank you for saying that. Yes, that's true. Yeah, that was my greed, actually, my desire. I didn't need to have those kind of desire, really. So those kind of things happened when I struggled with my life. So from the suffering, I gained many insights. So at the time, I decided to accept myself, like I decided to accept the process that I'm being there. So it's like I thought about that when I take a bus to destination, it's like being on a bus to a destination or being like in a train to the destination and enjoying the scenery along the way. That's the main point, I think, how we live in this life. We need to enjoy every moment being in this in the process. So I think this is the process of understanding and love suffering. So like that, but suffering doesn't just end all at once. So after a while, I had a severe car accident in the US. So I couldn't walk for a year. I couldn't walk appropriately for a year. And at the time, I felt many guilty because I am here to study. I need to finish my dissertation, but I couldn't finish at all because I had a lot of physical pain. And because of the physical pain, I had a lot of emotional pain too. So at that time, very severely stuck in the low zone, actually in the resilient zone. So at that time, I really practiced the compassion meditation a lot more, even more. So I thought about myself and I thought about the being, I thought about the existence like that. And at the time, I realized that I felt like I had no value because I couldn't function normally. And I didn't accept myself in that state. So at the time, with the compassionate practice, with a lot of lectures from all around the world, I began to practice compassion more and more, and I came to realize how valuable and meaningful it is just to be alive, and how grateful I should be for that. So after a year, I started working on my dissertation and finished my dissertation very soon, and I graduated right after the semester. So I think with that suffering, I became the faster writer because at the time I had a lot of motivations and I accumulated motivations, and then I just used that energy to write my dissertation and finish it. So I think the suffering, both physical and emotional pain, can give us incredible strength. It not only impacts ourselves, but also helps us to understand others better. So became more compassionate person and practitioner. So through this experience, I became more capable of understanding the suffering of others. And without this suffering, I might have continued to see the world and judge others based on the standards of my previous healthier self. So of course, I still find myself making habitual judgment, but I try not to fall as hard or get as entangled as I used to. So now I try harder to understand myself, others, and the world. Suffering in this way broadens our understanding. So I think compassion means showing concerns, being connected, accepting and relieving suffering, promote benefits and joy. So give love and sharing love to each other. So I think life is full of suffering, but we can transform it into the moments that shine like jewels. When that seems difficult, what helps us are inviting smiles on our face and do some act of kindness, compassion, and generosity. And at that time, suffering can turn into the sparkling moment of gratitude, becoming the resources of our lives that sustain us in our lives. So I hope you see the suffering as a part of our life and find the joy in the suffering, and you will shine every moment in the way. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Venerable Hyeju, for the very inspiring speech. Now we will start a 30-minute Q&A session. So based on some of the questions that you have sent forth, I will address them to the appropriate speaker to answer them. Okay, so first, I would like to invite Venerable Gnanarathana to answer one question. So, Bande, so someone asked, what is the difference between jealousy and envy? Bande, did you get my
Venerable,
question? Yes.
yeah, asking the difference of envy and jealousy.
Yes, that's right.
So, wait. Here, I think my slides. Give me a second.
Right. So previously, Bande has mentioned about what is defilements, what is
Yeah,
considered
yeah.
wholesome and unwholesome. Yeah. So I think this question will be very appropriate for Bande to answer, to share with us the knowledge that you have and the wisdom that you have gained.
Yeah. Yeah, this two emotions, bad emotions. We have when we see others something, others happiness and others wealth and other properties, then we have this envy, this feeling, and it's related to the I don't have and others have in that sense. And we have jealousy. I have, then others also have same. Then I am not a special one. Then I have jealousy. So this is the difference of I have, others also have. Then I become same. This then I don't have, others have. Then I have some feelings. These are the two things. This bad defilement side. So in these two ways, we increase our unwholesome side, our bad side.
Thank you, Bande.
Okay with the answer? If
Yes.
not,
And
the same one can.
Yes, perhaps Bhante, could you then also share how do we overcome envy and jealousy, since now we know the difference between them?
It is actually we have to accept the reality in the world, and we have to understand the result of our own karmas, the the previous karmas, and so on. So if someone has something I don't have, then maybe because of I didn't do something in the past, I am not suitable to have something. Then when others have, it is not their problem. So it's my problem because I didn't do something. Then I am not suitable to have. So the karma, the nature cannot help us to have something. Then no point having jealousy. So and also we can think if I don't have, so then others have. The second one, I also have, the others also have, right? Other people are same. Then it is good. Most of the time we don't have too much trouble, and we are safe if others also have. Most of the time in the society we see the problems, right? All the evil side, because some people actually they are not happy with their own things. They don't have enough properties and the other basic needs. Then if they also have in the society less the issues, problems, so we have to accept it. Okay, it's a good. We have to take it in positive way. We have to be optimistic. When we see it like that, then we can be happy and thinking our own safety. So no need to increase our unwholesome side, thinking of others things.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Thank
my
you, Bhante, for your
understanding.
thank you, Bhante, for your answer. Okay, next I have a question for Geshe Lobsang. Okay, so Geshe, someone asked, based on the habit they are so ingrained in our mind, we are always chasing after sensory happiness. So how do we change that?
That's a great question. And it's not easy, like the deep-rooted dispositions or the habits are very difficult to have control over. I want to give you a story, like that in the ancient, it comes in the Buddha's discourse called in Tibetan called Lobsang. There is a sutra of wise and the unwise, the people, and the story goes like this. There was a king, and he really liked hunting, going into the jungles. But in order to do that, to protect himself, he needed to have a very powerful animal to ride. So it's elephant, and he had his elephant trainer train an elephant he liked. It's a white, beautiful elephant, and this trainer, the best in the kingdom, trained this elephant for a number of months. And after he trained him well, told the king, now this elephant is so well trained, you can go to this jungle for his hunting. And the king was in the middle of the jungle on this elephant, and all of a sudden elephant just, for no reason, it seemed, start just galloping, like And the king, fortunately, was young and agile enough. He was able to jump and catch a branch and save himself. But the elephant had gone, and the king was outraged and he summoned the trainer and wanted to just kill him because he gave him such untrained elephant, he said. But the trainers pleaded. He said that this is the best elephant I've ever trained, and I can prove you that how well this elephant was trained. He told that this elephant will return by the dusk, before it gets dark, and then he will show. And then surely elephant returned before it got dark. And then the trainer told the king to have a fire made, the big fire, and then put some metals, the kind of the rods, iron rods, into the fire. And then that brought the elephant there. And then he was going to prove that how well he had trained. And he commands the elephant to pick up one of those burning rods from the fire. An elephant puts its, trunk and then picks that burning rod and keeps holding it because the trainer asks the elephant to, pick it up and hold it. And it's about to kind of just totally sever its trunk, but it's still holding. And then the king becomes so, painful. I would just said that, I asked him to drop it, and the elephant's trainer says to drop it, and the elephant, puts it down. So king is just so puzzled. I mean, that this is so well trained. What happened? That in the middle of the jungle, why it acted so abruptly and then just, galloped. And the trainer says that, it's because it's a little funny story. So the trainer tells that because the elephant, smelled another female animal, elephant in heat. And that's, when it took over, then he had to chase to find the elephant. Basically, the idea there here is that, that the trainer says that this disposition is so deep, for, that when you'd get sensual attraction, to certain things, whether it's food or like in this case, a mat, that it's so deep that it is, not that easy to control, even if you are very well trained. And the Buddha, the king says that, well, that how can we train? And the trainer says that I don't have the way to do that. You have to ask the Buddha's disciples how to train the mind to have that control over those deep impulses. And that's where the mindfulness, the practice of applying mindfulness awareness comes into play, that the learning to notice our impulses, our thoughts, emotions, impulses, and then to learn how to disengage from that. So the practice of like the mindfulness practice, like mindfulness of breathing, is a good start to gain some control over our, those impulses, including, sensual or the sexual impulses and like that. If those are inappropriate, then since we do need to have some control over that. But as Venerable Hyeju and others have mentioned, as you have mentioned also, this beautiful story about the devas hiding the secret in the human mind. I think, through mind training, we can develop awareness of our own impulses and so forth, but also that choice, that how we can let go of those impulses when they do unfold. So it's a training of mindfulness.
Okay, thank you, Geshe-la, for the very insightful answer. And next, I have a question for Venerable Sumangala. Okay, so Venerable, this question is, previously in your teaching, you mentioned about true spiritual friend. And one of the qualities is to invest wisely. You mentioned something about the 6 offerings. So there's a Dharma friend from Malaysia or who wants you to elaborate further on these topics?
Thank you. Thank you for the question. Just now, it is one very particular important benefit in tailoring our life with goodness. That is spiritual friends, true friends. The Buddha indeed in the Mangala Sutta mentioned that the first blessings that we can have is to not to associate with a fool, and the second, to associate with the wise. So indeed, why is a spiritual friend important? And this again, the Buddha mentioned in many suttas to encourage our association with the people who are wise is very important. This is where the Buddha said, if we mix with the wise people who have faith in the Buddha, who have practicing the moral virtue well, and who are generous, and also who are intelligent and wise, then the likelihood for us, just so maybe when Chun Yin was asking the question to the other speaker on about habit. So this is how we can create new habit. The word habit itself, we say, some people write habit. If you take away the H, you still have a bit. If you take away the A, you still have bit. And it's still, if you take away the B, you still have it. So to dehabit is not easy. But we need to associate with people who are wise. So spiritual friends, when we say wisdom, means not only they are skilled, they are intelligent, but they are kind. Wise means they possess the moral virtue and also the compassion and the way of wholesomeness of getting a result in life. So when we mix with them, then we'll be able to acquire all these skills in ourselves, the way we live and the way we carry out our life. Then it is a skill that helps us to achieve whatever goal that we need in life that brings us happiness and also wisdom. So for spiritual friend, true friends, we say in short, is one who is a counselor, a helper, who cares for you and even your family. They are with you, rain or shine. But if you have friends in disguise, which we also need to know so that we can avoid them. Friends in disguise are those who are not practicing moral virtue, such as they will, do all kinds of action like womanizing, drinking, gambling, and they love frequenting amusement or entertainment, and also they are addicted, and also violence. So in short means they don't practice the 5 precepts well, and they love idleness, and also and in a family, they are a traitor, a taker, and they do not care for the family. So we have to choose our friends so as not to fall into difficulty and also suffering in life. So choose wise friend in our life if we want to have a good life and have a proper life or family, and then we can actually spend our time with our family, with the community, and again to achieve or to realize the goal of happiness and freedom. So indeed, having spiritual friends, the Buddha said, is a life, not just a half way of things that we embrace in life, but it's a whole of way of embracing life, because friends will influence us, and having good friends will help us to lead to well-being and wisdom and compassion. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Venerable, for your answer. Okay, next, I have a question for Venerable Hyeju. Yeah, so Venerable, someone from Malaysia asked this question. Sometimes we have very competitive friends around us. So they always want to compete with us. Do we ignore them? Is that the only way? Or are there any other positive or constructive or healthy ways for us to deal with this situation?
Wow, that's very good question, deep question. It's really hard question too. Ideally, from the Buddhist perspective, we need to accept, understand, and respect those people, the competitive people around us. But it's really, really hard, right? Because you will be threatened by them. So at that time, I think we need to practice some compassion meditation. But before that, in the process of compassion meditation, I think we can first try to understand what is the desire, what is the needs of the people. But after understanding the situation of their lives, we need to, I think, bring the ethics to the communication. So I think we need to think about what is the ethical point that we can share or we can talk about, we can communicate. So if there is a principle that we can share, we can talk about that, or we can choose different kind of moral approaches to communicate with those people. But I think we need to make sure that we cannot control other people's mind. We cannot control other people's life. So we need to just respect their lives, their way of their lives. So the first thing is that we need to think, okay, that person choose that kind of a life. Maybe if I can help, I will be doing something. So I try, but if that doesn't work, I think I need to accept this situation. I need to accept the person's choice like that. I think this is the understanding process of that competitive people around us. And I will just live my life. we need to do our own things. We need to do the best to live our life. If you just consider those people, the competitive people around you a lot, then you will be actually not living your life. And you will live that person's or that other people's life. So I think we need to find the center of our life and of yourself, and then live your way, but with accepting other people's. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Venerable, for your answer. And I have the next question that is for Bante, Venerable Gnanarathana. So Bante, okay, someone asked the question. Well, these days, people spend a lot of time on social media, spending time on Facebook, Instagram, etc. So spending time on social media, is that considered virtuous or non-virtuous? Is it kusala or akusala?
It is depend on the way they use the social media. So if they use for good things, to do good, to help others, if they help themselves and others to increase their good qualities, to have some new knowledge, to know the world, see the world, then it's a kusala, skill. They have a special ability. So it's a kusala, then it's okay. But if they use to do bad, wrong thing, unethical, illegal things, it's akusala or papa, evil things. Then it's depend on the person who use the social media. Social media itself not good or bad, but the people who use the social media, they made it good or bad. And also, yeah, I think they, some people we see now we are using this the Zoom and the social media to do good. So then it's a good. Then we can have blessing. So we can help others. We can share the Dhamma. So in this way, it's up to them. They can decide whether do good or bad. So that's my answer for it. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you, Pandey, for the
Thank you.
very enlightening answer. I think
Thank
many
you.
people will be very relieved to hear your answer and they will be able to use social media with ease. Thank you. Okay, the
Okay.
next question is for Geshe-la. Geshe-la, this question has been asked by 3 people from Singapore, Malaysia, and Sweden. Their questions are quite similar, so I decided to ask them together. So basically, it's about asking about how do we deal with living with family members who can be difficult. Maybe this family member has a very bad temper, uses a lot of harsh speech, or maybe this family member he or she is ill, and because of her illness, so she can be difficult to live with, and because they are family members, so we just can't throw them away, but we still need to interact and live with them. So how do we deal with such a situation? Geshe-la, please. Geshe-la, can you unmute yourself, please?
Sorry about that. Yeah, thank you so much for this question. Obviously, this is a question I think it's many of us struggle, whether it's has to do with our family member or colleagues at work. We do live in a society and not like ourselves, not others have their bad times, have their vulnerabilities, their weaknesses. So I don't think there is one ready-made answer to that. It really kind of depends how we deal with such. I think one of the things I think earlier, Hyeju Sunim, I heard in her response to the previous question, the speaking about how if we see them where they're coming from, that often we react in certain ways when our needs are not met, whether it's not just physical needs, emotional needs, or like that. In life, there are certain expectations, and when we don't meet those needs, it affects us, and we all have that vulnerability. We all have that disposition to emotionally react. That reaction can come in our verbal or the physical reaction as well. So I think it's very important to first of all, if we can, to understand, have this perspective that other person is reacting because certain needs are not met. So it's one of the things that I should share this. It can make a huge difference. Often, when somebody acts in certain way, we often, our first thing is to kind of think that what is wrong with you, like that's if something is wrong, something, this person is unruly, this is selfish or whatever, and that kind of assumption, it translates into our actions, whether even like what kind of tone we use in talking to them, or our facial expression, body language, and like that. And instead of making the things better, it makes things worse. But if we come up with instead with this simple, just very simple shift in our interaction with them, that when somebody is reacting, to ask, please tell me, what is making you, feel this way, say this, what's going on. And in that way, we respect them, and that, they feel that you are paying attention, you are listening to, instead of just judging, but rather you are listening to. I think that that can make such a huge difference just by making a simple shift. But that is not to say that there are not cases where, like even in the marriage, or the other relationship, someone is really abusive, like that. They are caught in some kind of, this very competitive mind, or the jealousy or the greed and like that. Or struggling with other demons, or their own other kind of emotional demons. And in those situations, it's also important to keep in mind that being compassionate doesn't mean that you just have to kind of, be submissive, like that. But rather, as His Holiness the Dalai Lama often says, that is that you can blame the action. You can without hating the person. If we see the person is struggling, we can still see what they are doing, what is, if it is harmful, that we can still try to find a way to stop, or at least to put a certain space between oneself and others. The Shanti Deva, one of these Nalanda masters, have a beautiful example, like that. In order to keep a safe distance from fire, you don't need to blame fire. You just need to know that fire has the capacity to burn you if you go too close. So therefore, you don't need to hate fire, but you can keep a certain distance. When someone is caught in a certain emotional, or in their insecurity, or the other difficulties, and they have the capacity to hurt us, there is every good reason for us to find a space, put the boundary, to keep them away, or maintain a certain safe distance. So I'm saying a lot of these things, you all already know this, but basically I think there is no one single kind of remedy for everything. I think that we have to use what works, in a certain context, what might be most applicable. Thank you. I think you are on mute, Venerable Chun Yin.
Oh, okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Geshe-la, for sharing your answer. Okay, next I have a question for Venerable Sumangala. Okay, this is a question that came through our Zoom chat. So, Venerable, someone asked, we are looking for happiness innately, but almost all of the happiness that we look for bring us suffering instead. So how do we manage them in our daily life?
All right. So the first sound I have mentioned in the presentation, most of the perception that we have about seeking for happiness, in a common sense, we tend to think enjoying sensual pleasure, brings goodness, is happy, or a good relation with others, and or intimate relation or romance relation, that is happiness. And also enjoying life in many other things, especially for our eyes, ears, our nose, and especially just now, even the question about having the internet or handphones or social media. And all these are becoming something that common, but if we are not careful, it can be something that also affect our life. For example, in the past, we always say, my life is in my hand, but now our hand is with the handphone. So people don't spend time 24 hours in the right way. But if they live a common worldly life, so when they are seeking for sensual pleasure, seeking for partners or relations, thinking that will bring happiness, or seeking for just, working and working and working to get money, then of course, what they are seeking already leads to suffering. So if they do not change that particular way of thinking, then they will be loomed in unhappiness. So in order to get out from unhappiness, but to a real or true happiness, then just like when the Buddha advises, we need to actually reduce our sensual pleasure. Because if time wasted in sensual pleasure, for example, nowadays, when people live with handphones, and the whole day they can be with the handphones, and we can see that most of us think that religion or spiritual teaching teaches how to gain happiness and freedom, but our whole day is with the handphone. I used to sometimes teach some devotees, we think, the religion of today, everyone is saying is challenging, but I say only one, the very unique religion now is that everybody will use it whole day. Yeah, whether they go to eat, they will have it. They go to sleep, it's beside them. They go to even to the toilet, you'll be with them. You name it, everywhere. Even they are sick in hospital, you can see their hands is still with the handphone. Yeah, they are not resting. Yeah, so you can see if we live the life as how addictive it is, then of course we will never get our happiness. But the GPS for happiness is very clear. The Buddha said, that we should learn all the good qualities that leads to happiness. So the Buddha also mentioned, if let's say something that is essential and we do not take it as essential, then we'll never arrive at essential. Yeah, if it's not essential and we take it as essential, then of course we will never arrive at the essential. Meaning, if let's say if this thing leads to suffering and we think it's happiness, then of course it will lead us to suffering, not happiness. But if this leads to happiness and we take it and practice it, then of course we will be happy. So in our daily life, for example, a very simple thing, like for example, what we eat is so important. Yeah, it leads to good health. Let's say, for example, nutritious food and nutritious drink. But what is the day that how people spend their food or eat their food, or how much they eat, or how when they eat, they don't follow the way of eating to bring happiness. Then therefore, of course, from food itself, it will lead to a lot of sickness. So how to enjoy good health? Then second, sleep. Now it's so common that people think sleep late is just common everywhere. Everybody do that. Yeah, but to sleep early and wake up early, it leads to happiness and well-being and healthiness. So this is a way to happiness, but people do not practice that. They think staying late, let's say, will bring them happiness and they can spend more time to do what they want to do, but it leads them to suffering again. And also another thing like exercise. Now people do not exercise. They know exercise brings good health and happiness, but how many people actually are exercising? And research has shown, exercise point to a lot of goodness, a lot of happiness, but people do not do that. Yeah, so it is very common, and so many researchers say so, but yet people do not take it as something that is helpful in their life. So we seek for happiness, but we seek it wrongly in a way that to entice our sensual pleasure. Like our eyes love to see. We are so addicted to screen, day in, day out, you name it. Even as a monastic, sometimes it's also very challenging. Yeah, even you want to see your email, but something else appear in your screen. Yeah, and now with the AI is even more challenging. Yeah, they don't get you straight to what you want to do. They will distract you to something else, right? And so these are the challenge that we have in our time, and we have to be mindful what comes to us. And I think through the Buddha's guide on how we can actually really practice the essential that leads to essential. And what is not essential, don't take it as essential. then we are quite safe. The happiness that we are looking forward will be there for us, and we can enjoy the happiness even in the midst, like the Buddha say, we are like the lotus, yeah. The Buddha say, the lotus is born, yeah, in the mud and rise up, yeah, also from the mud, yeah, but then can bloom above the water. And so too, we can live in this life using the GPS that the Buddha has given us, yeah. We are living in the world, rise in the world, but we can also rise above the world, unstained by the world. So I mean, unstained by the mud. So, there's so much mud around us nowadays and so much distraction, but we have to really choose and discipline and walk the path. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Venerable, for the very insightful answer. Okay, I have one last question here, and that is for Venerable Hyeju. Yeah, so someone asked, after the pandemic, many people experience loneliness and depression. So how can we help them?
Thank you for asking this question. Yes, we have a lot of experience of feeling loneliness and depression after the COVID-19. But before that, we also have this kind of feelings of loneliness and depression. So I think the loneliness might be a suffering for those who are extroverts. So I'm an introvert, so I really enjoy time being alone. Because at the time I can focus on the inner self, and also I can explore my feelings. I can explore what's going on in my life. So I use that time for cultivating the healthier mind. So I really enjoy it. But I think for the extroverts, they might have some difficult feeling for being alone. But I think it's not only related to those kind of experience, but also sometimes we have no one understanding us. We have nobody around us who can see ourselves being in that community. So there would be another kind of loneliness. And I think even at that time, I think we need to look at our inner self, how we feel, and we need to control how we can help ourselves. It might be different. It depends on different people, individuals, but you can find some ways to change the difficult loneliness to healthier feelings. And one of the ways to deal with the loneliness or depression could be bringing your attention to one point that makes you feel safe, that makes you feel pleasant, that makes you feel joyful. So I think it's really important to not to be too much focused on the loneliness feeling or depression feeling. But before that, we need to accept the feelings. There is a reason to feel loneliness and depression. So you need to accept that feeling as it is. And then after that, you if you want to deal with it, you want to do something to help help reduce loneliness and depression. At that time, you can use your power of your mind. So you can bring your attention to another thing that will give you some joyfulness or that will make you smile. And then at the time, you can see your situation more clearly, because your life is not only not only with the loneliness and depression, but also with other pleasant feelings. So you can be in the neutral movement by realizing the reality of your emotions or your feelings. And also your emotion, loneliness, depression is also changing. as time goes by. So you will need to see the truth of the emotion. It will be changing. It will not be there always. So you don't need to be attached to the emotions. So you just see what's happening in your mind with the feeling of loneliness and depression, and find some meaning from that. And after that, you move another part, you move forward. I think that would be very helpful for you to deal with the loneliness and depression.
Okay, thank you, Venerable, for your answer. Okay, now we come to the end of the Q&A session, and I would like to conclude today's forum with a brief summary of what the speakers have shared with us today. So Venerable Gnanarathana had shared the essence of Buddhism on the importance of refraining from non-virtuous actions and how we should instead cultivate virtuous actions and to purify our minds for the benefit of ourselves and others. And Geshe Lobsang has shared on the importance and relevance of compassion in today's world. And Geshe-la has also provided very scientific information on how the practice of compassion and mindfulness can help students, to cope with inflammation, stress, and other discomfort. And Venerable Sumangala has given a very interesting perspective on the difference between skilled means and skilled means, skillful means and skilled means. And she has presented information from the Pali Canon in a very light-hearted manner, telling us how we can aspire for not just the ordinary happiness, but we can progress to the happiness of a good person, and finally, happiness of a noble person. And last but not least, Venerable Hyeju shared a very inspiring story of her personal life, how she used the practice of compassion and mindfulness to overcome difficulty and suffering in her life, and that suffering is something that we cannot avoid in our life, but how we can use it as a jewel to shine light on everyone around us. So thank you for the very enlightening teachings from all the speakers. So it is very wonderful that we have gathered here today to spend 2 hours with a joyous and virtuous mind to accumulate merit and to discuss on the Buddhist teaching. So I would like to conclude today's forum with the following dedication prayer. May the precious Bodhi mind not yet born arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. May the merits thus accumulated be dedicated to all sentient beings. May all sentient beings and I quickly attain Buddhahood. Thank you.
Sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So thank you so much on behalf of the Tibetan Buddhist Center, as well as His Holiness Southeast Asia Office. I'd like to thank all the wonderful panelists. Bante Gnanarathana, thank you so much for sharing.
Wonderful. Bless you.
Professor Geshe Lobsang, thank you so much for spending your time, even though it's so late there in Atlanta. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And also, Venerable Sumangala and Venerable Hyeju for participating in this wonderful forum. And Venerable Chun Yin, really for the gracious moderating. You have summarized and moderate well the entire forum. We learned so much from all the speakers, and we hope to continue with this forum. And also, most importantly, thank you to all those who participated, and wish everyone here just take one learning point and you'll be transform our life. So can I kindly request that if all of you can turn on your screen and we just take a quick virtual shot. Can you turn on your video, please? And we just take one group photograph together. So Brother Peck, can you help to take, or Brother Wayne? Brother Wayne, you there to take the photograph?
Yes.
Okay. Can you just take one shot with everybody here in the Greek format?
Maybe Brother Pig can say 1, 2, 3, so we know when to
Yeah.
smile.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we have everybody here. So, Brother Wayne, tell us when you're ready.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you so
So-
much. Right, Venerables and brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. Have a good weekend. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you. Thank
Sadhu,
you.
Take care.
sadhu,
Thank
sadhu,
you.
sadhu,
Blessings
Thank you
to
all.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Amitofo.
Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you, Geshe-la. Thank you,
Thank you.
Hyeju, and all the venerables. Thank you.
Amitofo.
See you all soon. Bye-bye.
See you soon. Yes. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Brother Wayne, the recording is you shared to me. Yeah.
Okay. I'll send copy later when it's uploaded. Thank you.
Okay, sure.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Mr. Peck. Amitofo.
Thank you. Venerable Ate.